Since ancient times, wells have been dug in order to provide fresh water to a community. In fact, these wells would often dictate where people would settle. In some drier regions of the world, people must travel miles just for life-sustaining water. That nourishes the body. But Jesus provides a living water which flows from His Spirit and nourishes the soul. Join us today on 10 with Ken. Hello everyone, I'm Ken Moore with 10 with Ken. Today we're going to start a new series entitled Living Water. We're going to be studying from the 4th chapter of the book of John, and the title of today's lesson is A Divine Appointment. But before we do, I would just like to ask you if this ministry is in any way a help to you or an aid in studying the Bible. We would appreciate it if you would like or subscribe to our page. All right, well, we'll get started here in the 4th chapter of the book of John. We'll begin reading here with verse 3. All right, he left, talking about Jesus, Judea, and departed again to Galilee. But he needed to go through Samaria. Now, in verse 4, the King James said, he must needs go through Samaria. That's a stronger statement. And what that tells me is there's something in Jesus' heart that is drawing him to go to Samaria. Now, let me say this. The road to Samaria, through Samaria there, was not the road that the Jews would normally have taken to go somewhere, because they simply didn't want any mixing or intermingling in any way with the Samaritans. But Jesus was very adamant about it. He said, no, I have to go through Samaria because there's something drawing me there. There's a work for me to do there. There's somebody there that I need to talk with. All right. So he came to Samaria, which is called Sychar, near the plot of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. Very historical place. Now Jacob was there. Jacob's well was there. Jesus, therefore, being wearied from his journey, sat thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour, so it was the hot part of the day. It was about 12 o'clock. A woman of Samaria came to draw water. Jesus said to her, give me a drink. His disciples had gone to buy food. All right. Then in verse 9, the woman of Samaria said to him, how is it that you, being a Jew, ask a drink from me, a Samaritan woman? For Jews have no dealings with Samaritans. All right, verse 10. Jesus answered and said to her, if you knew the gift of God and who it is who says to you, give me a drink, you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water. What he was simply saying was, I know that we have all kind of cultural difference here. I know that we have all kind of racial and prejudice differences here. I know that there's a great ethnic difference here, but that does not matter in the least to me. All right. The woman said to him, sir, you have nothing to draw with, and the well is deep. Where then do you get this water? Are you greater than our father Jacob, who gave us the well, and who drank from it himself, as well as his sons and his livestock? Well, yes, to be exact about it, Jesus is greater than him. All right, let's look here at verses 13 and 14. Jesus answered and said to her, whoever drinks of this water will thirst again. But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst, but the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life. So what Jesus was simply telling the woman here was, you can come to this well, and this well is so many feet deep. Some are deeper than others. And you can drop your bucket and you can draw water. And in a few hours, you can come back and you can do the same thing and over again. And that will satisfy your fleshly thirst. But I got something here that you can drink. You can take one drink of one time and it'll satisfy your inward thirst. And the reason is because you're not going down to get it. It's coming down to you. It's coming down from heaven. It's coming down from the throne of God. And when it becomes a part of your heart and your life and your being, it will be in you a well springing up into everlasting life. And Ezekiel, over in Ezekiel chapter 47, talked about water that was flowing from the throne of God. And the further out that you got into this water, it became deeper until it became a river to swim in. And everything that it touched, it brought healing to. So that's what that's the kind of water, that's the kind of life change and the experience that Jesus was offering this woman here. All right, let's move on here. All right, the woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water that I should not thirst nor come here to draw." All right, now Jesus made a very profound statement here to her. He said some things here to her. Jesus said to her, "Go call your husband and come here." All right. The woman said, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You have well said, I have no husband. For you have had 5 husbands, and the one whom you have now is not your husband. In that you spoke truly." So Jesus called out the woman's sin. He didn't point his finger at her. He didn't scold her. He didn't do anything but just simply let her know that he knew who she was. He knew what was going on in her life, and he wanted her to see him. And in verse 19, she did. It said, the woman said to him, "Sir, I perceive that you are a prophet." All right, now in verse 20 here, we get into a religious conversation here. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and the Jews say that in Jerusalem is the place where one ought to worship. Jesus said to her, "Believe me, the hour is coming when you will neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem worship the Father." All right, you worship what you do not know. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. All right, but the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for the Father is seeking such to worship him. God is a spirit, and those who worship must worship in spirit and in truth. So it's not a matter of where you are. It's not a matter if you're in one city or you're in another city. The true worshipers worship God from their heart. And I can be communing with God, and he can be communing down to me. That's how it works, because I am worshiping God in spirit and in truth. And that's, of course, what Jesus was explaining to this woman. You can worship God. God can be a part of you, and you can be a part of God. This is not a bunch of rituals. This is not a bunch of stuff where you're making sacrifices and you're doing I'm fixing to fulfill all that stuff. All that stuff is going to be over with. All that stuff is going to be done simply because, like I said, it's going to be fulfilled. And the true worshipers of God will worship God in spirit and truth. And one more thing, just a few days before this, John the Baptist, remember, pointed out Jesus. He said, "Behold the Lamb of God that taketh away the sins of the world." Well, that's exactly what we're talking about here. When Jesus died, he was the Passover lamb. We're not looking for another Passover lamb to come. The Passover lamb has already come, and his followers and his worshipers worship him now in spirit and in truth. Well, I can see I'm out of time for today, but join us again next week and we'll talk some more. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And until next week, may God richly bless.